Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Mills, and I'm here talking with students from the Stafford STEM Academy. And we're looking forward to a fantastic dialogue and back and forth session. I am a pathologist and a professor in the departments of medicine, in pathology, and in molecular cell biology here at Baylor College of Medicine. I'm also co-director of the Digestive Disease Center and an associate director involved in the education mission for the Cancer Center, the Danielle Duncan Cancer Center here on campus.
Hello, Dr. Mills. I just wanted to ask, what do you study?
My lab is really interested because I said that I was interested in gastrointestinal diseases and digestive diseases, meaning stomach, intestine, and including liver and pancreas. A lot of our research focuses on those organs. Because I trained as a doctor also and a pathologist, pathologists are interested in tissue and the basis of disease. We're always interested in disease, but we're interested in how the cells that make up the tissues can go wrong, or how we can potentially harness their capacity to repair things in disease. So a lot of our focus is on those diseases. So for example, one of the things we're really interested in is how cancers form.
Technically, cancer cells are caused because of change in their DNA from regular cells, right?
Yes. What we think happens is that you've heard of stem cells, and those are the stem cells that are kind of the ones that can give rise to other cells. There are not that many stem cells in most of the organs. What we think is that those normal stem cells are actually, because they're professionals, that's what they do all the time, actually pretty good at resisting any of those mutations. And so they're dividing all the time, and if a mutation comes in, they just are kind of gotten rid of. But the problem comes when you try to recruit them to act like stem cells and try to repair something. It's my lab and the people in it that came up with a name for the process of recruiting these mature cells to come back and act as stem cells. We call it palliginosis. Those cells have been doing something else, and they've been using their DNA to make proteins to digest stuff, and they've been doing that potentially for years. And now suddenly you're asking them to rearrange everything and come back and act like a stem cell. And it's those cells that we think are the risk, because they can accumulate mutations in the DNA, but they're hidden because, the DNA mutations that are important for cancer are ones that regulate cell growth, and if they're not growing and they're just doing their digestion function, then there's no check on them. So the problem comes in that situation. And then once they have some of that and they start growing, then they can get a lot more mutations, and then you get a cancer.
I was wondering, how did you get interested in this line of research?
Well, I've always been interested in how cells change. When I was an undergraduate, I was interested in how bone cells change. And then when I was a graduate student, I started studying the process called apoptosis, which is how cells are programmed to die. Up until that point, even though there'd been a name for it, most people thought that cells, when they died, that was just a bad thing because you were trying to grow them to study something and all your cells died. But then somebody started realizing that the cells have a program for it, and then that program was called apoptosis. So you could actually study how cells basically, die. So that's what I was doing as a PhD student. And then when I did my pathology residency, I was interested in how cells come together to form disease. How I wound up doing digestive disease and gastrointestinal, that was just by accident, because I talked to a lot of people and wanted to join their lab as a fellow, and I went to the one that had the coolest, who was a really good mentor and had a really good track record and had a nice lab, and they happened to be studying the stomach and intestines. It wasn't like I was always fascinated with stomach and intestines. It was more I was interested in diseases. As a pathologist, you tend to be kind of interested in every disease, because every disease can come by your desk and you have to diagnose.
Another question I had was, are there any limitations that are holding back your research that you wish you could have, or?
Well, right now it's challenging times. There's been a lot of sort of anti-science and medical research at the federal government level, and really our enterprise depends very much on support from the government, and always has. So when there's a lot of these challenges, then it kind of rocks the system, and it scares all the people that we're training about doing careers, and so it has a lot of impact. And so we're trying to get the word out as much as possible that the system is being shaken a lot right now, and a lot of us are concerned about where we're heading with that. So that's the biggest challenge right now.
Are your findings localized to the digestive tract, or can they be applied to more general cancer research?
I'm glad you asked that. because, again, as a pathologist and because the digestive tract was sort of an accident for me, I'm always interested in other tissues. It served as a great model, but it's a model, meaning it helps us understand more deep principles. So the stomach is really cool because we can look at both processes, how in an injury you can recruit these really deep cells by the palliginosis process to become like stem cells, and how the normal stem cells are doing things like giving rise to the acid secreting cells. So that's why the GI tract is really good. But a lot of what we're trying to extract from that, especially when we talk about the palliginosis process, is universal principles. Even though we use a lot of times the stomach because it's got nice ways to contrast the palliginosis process from the regular stem cell process, what we're looking for is how it works in any organ. And in almost all organs where we think that cancer forms in adults, whether it's lung, common, liver, some aspect of this stem cell recruitment or palliginosis process is going on. We think this process of palliginosis is what helps all multicellular organisms, going all the way back to like jellyfish, and those kind of primitive ones, to do the repair process, but it always carries the risk that the cells can come and form a tumor. So yes, we get very interested in like outside of the GI tract, the reasons why this evolved and how it can be involved in tumors in other organs. And it kind of opens up a whole new world of thinking about tumors.
I had a question. How many people are in your lab and how often do you collaborate with other researchers?
Oh, these are great questions. Interestingly, my lab structure is a little bit different because the lab of my really good colleague and partner and colleague at work and also at home, because she's my wife, is next door. And we share a few people. So there's like they work for my lab and for her lab. People in my lab only are about 12 of us right now. With the shared people, we're about 16, I think, or 17 people. The people that come that go are, summer programs for undergraduate students. Graduate students that are working for their PhD will rotate through the lab, and sometimes we'll have 2, 3 of them at a time. So we kind of go up and down because we're always training people along with doing research. That's one of the coolest things about research is we're educating ourselves and we're educating people how to do research to do more education. So it's definitely for people that want to keep studying and learning their entire life.
Have there been any recent developments in your research?
We're always having recent developments. But one cool thing that I'll talk about is, even though I talked a lot about how cancer forms and the regeneration through recruiting cells, the finding that I want to talk about is not actually about that. It's actually about the regular stem cell. One of the things that we found that was really unexpected recently is that that stem cell can decide what to become. For example, in this case, you can decide to become the acid-producing cells based on potentially stuff that we eat and even common prescription drugs. So I think that gives us an ability potentially to modulate that and make different decisions. Thanks so much for all the great questions, and always fun to interact, and I think about things in new. What we do is always education. Every time we talk to somebody, we learn from the interaction. So it's a really cool thing to go into. Like make a pitch for it, but definitely to support it.